All right, everybody, it's time for yet another rooting guide, even though our priorities as Seahawks fans are kind of shifting, maybe. I know some people are now looking at things through the lens of how can we get the highest pick possible? Who do we have to root for to move up in the draft with our native first rounder? I know that there are some people out there who are still trying to think about the playoffs. I know there are some people who aren't really sure what to think. So it kind of depends on your perspective, but let's go through here and I'll talk everything through. I'll give my perspective on everything, and if there ends up being some angle that maybe I'm not seeing that has to do with the Seahawks picking higher in the draft, then so be it, but I will try to at least address those possibilities. And that's really only going to come up with a few select teams, I think. So first we got this game tonight, the absolute, absolute toilet bowl. Patriots Steelers. I shouldn't talk like that about the Steelers. They're not that bad, but it's going to be a pretty hideous game. Um, I think we just want New England to lose out, get the highest pick possible, and keep a blue chipper away from the NFC, especially the NFC West. So I think we just want New England to keep losing. And Pittsburgh winning does boost the strength of schedule a little bit because we do play Pittsburgh later this year. So on that level, it matters too. So I think we just want Pittsburgh to take care of business and move on. Okay. Sunday now. Moving on to the 10 a.m. slot. We got Buccaneers Falcons. At this point, I think our best bet is for somebody to just run away with the NFC South and the other teams in that division to just go away. So that would mean Atlanta wins and Tampa Bay just goes away. Um, so yeah, I am going with Atlanta here. You could construct an argument to the contrary, of course, but somebody has to win that division. So I think our best bet is that the whoever doesn't win the division in that division just falls apart. So let Tampa lose, and then let Tampa lose basically most of the rest of their games, so they're not a threat. And yeah, I think that's the angle. There is a little bit of draft stuff here, but it's a little bit hard to untangle, right? Because if a team makes the playoffs, their pick is definitely going to be below the Seahawks if the Seahawks don't make the playoffs. So even if we have a better record, we still wouldn't pick below them if they make the postseason. So that's a little bit difficult to untangle, but I think we're better off with Tampa Bay losing as many games as possible so they just go away forever. Lions Bears again. I think it behooves us for the Lions to just keep on banging away wins. Although here it's interesting. The Bears are not bad enough to get one of the top picks, and they're not good enough to be a playoff contender. So they're kind of stuck in this no man's land here. And you could argue that we want the Bears to win, so that way it opens up a little bit of a venue for us to have a higher pick than the Bears. But that requires the Seahawks to actually lose a lot of games. And again, I just don't know if we're there yet to where we're rooting for the team to lose. So this is actually kind of low stakes. You could talk yourself into either way. It's not like the Bears are a concern. It's not like we're going to catch the Lions. So maybe this is a game with basically no stakes on the table. I kind of talked myself into maybe wanting the Bears to win, but it's thin. It's super thin. Colts, Bengals, another AFC on AFC matchup. We did play the Bengals this year, so we might want them to win for strength of schedule, but there's also a couple other potential angles here. For one, we don't want the Broncos to make the playoffs, so that third round pick is a little bit higher, I guess. So therefore, we need teams like the Colts and Bengals to get the wild card spots. So the question is, do we want the Colts to secure their wild card spot, or do we want the Colts and Bengals to both be in the mix? That's kind of tough. My inclination is to say that we want the Bengals to win, but I could be definitely swayed the other way. That one's tough. The draft stuff, again, if both teams make the playoffs, or if any team makes the playoffs, they're going to pick below us. So that part of it isn't even that big of a deal. But my gut says we want the Bengals to win. Jaguars, Browns, AFC on AFC. I mean, we did play the Browns this year, so again, strength of schedule says we should want the Browns to win. I don't think the Browns are gonna fall, are gonna jump us in the draft or anything like that. I think they're good enough to at least win a few games here down the stretch. And Jacksonville, if they get Lawrence back, should be cool. So I'm not really thinking about it from that angle. So honestly, just Cleveland, I guess. There's not a lot there. Panthers, Saints. Yeah, we want the Panthers to win. We don't have to worry about one win costing the Panthers a pick higher than Arizona now because Arizona has a few wins. And we want New Orleans to go away. We want New Orleans to go away ASAP. And we want, again, I think we just want Atlanta to run away with the division, and that's that. And Carolina would still have a really high pick that they're sending to Chicago. So, yeah, I think we want the Panthers to find a way here, push that third-round pick a little bit further up maybe, take an NFC contender out of the picture in the wild card race, and, yeah. Texans at Jets, definitely Houston. Like I said, it's going to be really hard for us to not root for Houston in pretty much every game they play this year because they're sending their first rounder to Arizona. They've obviously already done a great job, but may as well finish the job, right? So yeah, Houston, very easy there. Last 10 a.m. game, we got Rams versus Ravens. This is another no doubt about it. We don't need those Rams to be a bigger problem than they already are. They're already a pretty big problem. And honestly, like, even if the Seahawks don't make the playoffs, I don't want the Rams to make the playoffs. That's disgusting. This Rams team that is clearly in the middle of a rebuild, a clean rebuild, not the Pete Carroll rebuild, which is like the Milli Vanilli of rebuilds. No, a real rebuild making the playoffs ahead of us is so disgusting. I don't want to go through that. Some people would say, well, maybe that gets Pete Carroll fired. I don't believe that. And even if it does, it's still gross. I don't want to go through it. Not happening. So, yeah, we want the Ravens to win, I think. Now we go to the afternoon slot. Vikings versus Raiders. AFC on NFC. Usually you're going to just root for the AFC here. So, yeah, Raiders, let's do it. Let's get it done. Knock the Vikings down another peg. And at least get another wild card contender out of the picture here by having them lose another assumed win. Bills, Chiefs. I don't really have much here. I guess we want the Bills to win for draft pick purposes, but again, I'm not sure I'm at the point where I'm thinking about tanking yet. But just in case we keep losing, I guess you may as well root for the Bills. That way they have more wins than us, so we pick above them. So I think that's about the only angle I can find on that game that matters. Last afternoon game is Broncos-Chargers. The only thing really going on here is the pick, the third round pick potentially coming from Denver. So yeah, we want the Chargers to win just because of that, and that's really about it. And again, if the Saints really are going to downward spiral the way it looks like, that Broncos pick would be ours if that continues to keep up. So that may end up mattering at least a little bit. I've said all year a third round pick and its exact placement doesn't matter very much at all, but it's not completely meaningless. All right, NBC, Eagles, Cowboys. One of these teams is going to win the division. The other is getting the wild card. So I don't think there's anything there. We play both teams, so there's no strength of schedule. I got nothing. I don't think this one really matters. It's not like we're catching either of these teams. I guess the Eagles, but I don't really... I got nothing, really. So, root for whoever you want to root for. I'd rather have Philly win just because, but I don't think that one matters. Okay, we got a doubleheader on Monday night. Very interesting. Two games at the same time, which I'm not a big fan of, but whatever. Titans, Dolphins. I mean, we play the Titans. If we still care about strength of schedule, I guess we want the Titans to win. But if we're thinking about draft picks now, and we want to make sure we have a better draft pick than the Titans at the end of the year, then we also want the Titans to win. So no matter how you slice it, I guess we may as well root for the Titans. I don't see it mattering. But while we're here, may as well. So yeah, I think we want the Titans to win. And then Packers, Giants. Yeah, while we may as well just root for the Giants to find another weird way to win a game. And we may as well hope that the Packers... it would make up for the Chiefs win, right? If the Packers blow this game to the Giants, it makes up for them beating the Chiefs a little bit and resets things just a little bit. It feels like such an uphill battle, but while we're here, we may as well continue to try. So I'm gonna say, yeah, we want the Giants to win, knowing that it may backfire later when the Packers pick higher than us, but I'm not quite there yet. And Cardinals and Commanders on a bye. They're the only two teams not playing. And that is it for this week's rooting guide. Let me know if you guys disagree anywhere. Things are getting very nuanced, I think. Because, again, your rooting interest might change based on whether or not you just want the highest pick possible or if you want to keep the playoff hopes alive. Let me know what you think. I'll see you guys later on. Go Hawks. Streaming tonight with the Hawks Nest. Hope to see you there. Let's figure this out, man.